Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Over coming to you with a 1v1 between two fairly well-known players. Top 20 if memory serves. Down here on Minsk Pocket playing as the yellow-trunked OKW, but he is no coward. It is Burmie. Now his opponent up here in the north, in the middle of the purple lager of doom, it is Brosras playing as the USF. Now, taking a quick look at commanders before we get too far into things, we got Tactical Support Company, Infantry Company, and Heavy Cav Company. So expect to see, probably, all things considered, likely that Pershing, because that seems to be where a lot of USF players continue to go. And I can't think of the last time I really saw someone that was like, let me run Infantry Company. Now, Burmie down here in the south, he's got, of course, Scavenge Doctrine. He also has Fortifications Doctrine and Elite Armored Doctrine. So all things considered, going to be an interesting commander choice back and forth, and I am kind of super excited to see how this goes. Minsk Pocket doesn't get anywhere near enough plays I think it should. In any case, what do we got? So, Volkswagen and Volksgrenadiers, Kubelwagen, Volksgrenadiers start for Burmie. Brosras, of course, goes into double rifles. And I'm wondering if we're going to see that little kind of meaty engagement between Sturm Pioneers and these Wehr Echelon troops. Fuel gets picked up just a couple of seconds before the Americans pick up theirs, and it looks like, yep, we're going to see aggression out from Kubelwagen against the rear echelons, and that's one thing about rear echelons, they do not do well even against light vehicles like the Kubelwagen. Short rifle are going to be the play, so I'm wondering, are we going to see US meta, or are we going to see something a little bit different? As of right now, obviously it's too early to tell. Looking at Bolton's, no surprises really here. Oh, interesting. So complete disregard for safety. So Volksgrenadiers don't get suppressed anywhere near as quickly, which is an interesting call. It's not one you tend to see very often. Usually see these, the training for accuracy and reload speed. Looks like another meeting engagement, though. Okay, so the Germans are not going to get there, too. Build a little fortifications position. Rifles, in the meantime, coming on around to flank, and the first blood has been drawn. Not a full squad, mind you, but both sides losing a couple models here and there. Might see another one drop on retreat. No, not quite yet. Just taking some health damage. Meanwhile, up here to the northeast, Germans are just going to continue to push back the Americans, and the Americans have not taken a very aggressive stance in terms of territory. They have 1 and 2 and 3, only picking up this 4th territory now. Now, the Germans have already got themselves pretty much half the map. They haven't gone for that central VP just yet. And it looks like it might even go over to the Americans. We're going into a 4th rifleman. Okay. Not the most common of things, but not, I guess, too ridiculously strange. Now, what we do have is we have a call-in for an SWS now. First SWS at a little bit less than what it could have been immediately. And with that particular timing, with that amount of fuel, I'm almost wondering if we're going to see a mech regiment more than anything else. Sturm Pioneers, though, with supporting that Kubelwagen, are just going to carve this rifleman to pieces. You can see, down to half health in just a couple of short bursts. Pretty darn good. And Burmie is moving up with the entire German army through the center part of the map. I'm hoping he's not going to play blob play. In fact, he's too good of a player in my mind to really do that. But people make mistakes, and yep, I think that is in fact going to be a mech regiment, which I don't necessarily agree with. In fact, I'm really hoping I'm wrong, and he's going to go for that battle group headquarters even higher up here and make that into a retreat territory. Germans in the meantime, though, nope, it's mech reg. Germans in the meantime, though, will go and probably get enough time to cap out this fuel point, taking away another position over here to the west-ish. This Kubelwagen will do probably okay against his rifle. Not great, mind you. He's going to be definitely sacrificing a lot of HP for it. But all things considered, he'll do just fine. They drop in a model already. He's protecting this point. Up here in the meantime, though, Germans are getting into a nice little bit of a furball, carving up one of those riflemen already. The lieutenant comes on the field for the Americans as well. That BAR is totally necessary at this point to salvage something of an ailing position. Kubelwagen, in the meantime, has dropped about 2/3 health, but the riflemen down there are down just to 2 models. Up here, in the meantime, they continue to take lots and lots of losses, inflicting some, that's fair, but just not anywhere near enough to be super excited. And somehow the Kubelwagen does not yet have a star veterancy. I'd give that man a medal. Now this Rifleman squad's got to back up, otherwise we're going to see the first death. Okay, there we go. 50 cal is on the field, though, and yep, rightfully so. There goes that Volksgrenadier squad. Down to the southwest, we continue to just see not numerical advantages per se, but just firepower just slowly pushing back the Americans all across the board. And with this 36 fuel coming on in, we really could be seeing, and I think we should be seeing, perhaps a P2 coming in the near future. Now, we had seen an incendiary grenade coming on out, and yep, there's the P2 to kind of push back the Americans for a little bit of time. And that 50 cal coming out is not going to do as much as he needs it to against that ferocious light vehicle. Now, here's my kind of curiosity, though. Will we see something like medical supplies coming out? Perhaps, perhaps not. I guess I'd be a little bit surprised to see that, and indeed, there we go, just going to be reinforcing, not surprising there, I guess. 50 cal in the meantime is going to approach the center VP, and will find himself getting wiped out pretty quickly if he's not careful. And at 500 to 431, the Americans kind of have to get themselves back in the fight here. The fuel point is only getting retaken right now. This completely crippled rifle squad is desperately trying to get territory. And honestly, really should be back for R&R. He's not doing that. P2 in the meantime trooping on in, and a very quick tech into another Wehrmachtschlepper. 50 cal is not bothering that guy at all. He's not even going after the correct target in my mind, which would be that Kuppelwagen. And he's not going to get a chance to do it either. So there goes the lieutenant. They have decapped the fuel point, so that's a bit of a small win there. But considering the kind of losses and damage they're taking to do it, that's insanely high. Weapon racks have been unlocked for Brosras, and he's actually going for very, very quick weapon racks, actually. Not even going for a captain, instead going for 2 Zooks on Riflemen, which are nowhere near, it looks like. Oh, actually, just one from right now. There we go. So, double Zooks on that one. Still going to take another couple of volleys before it becomes true danger. You know, over here, rear echelon's taking some munitions away from the Germans, but all things considered, it's still very much Burmie's game. Now, Sturm Pioneers are going to troop on over to start repairing this bad boy. And then Schumann is going to maybe force the Rifleman over here against this kind of hard territory line. Kuppelwagen sidling over to the eastern approaches, and I don't know if he somehow saw that Rifleman there with the double Zooks or what, but he has another life yet to live. Battle Group Headquarters has come out for Burmie. That's not a surprise at this point anymore. What is kind of a surprise is how aggressively Brosras is going against that strategic point yonder.
Our resource sector has been cut off from our supply chain.
But frankly, of all the territories to take, that was not the one in my mind. I would thought continue to put pressure on this fuel point, but of course it does require him to go behind enemy lines, so to speak.
Crew, get ready.
Sturm Pioneers do have a hazard removal kit. Interesting to note right there, but the P2 is shifting on over, and I think he's going to find out this rear echelon squad and do a pretty good number on them. Additionally, though, we are going to see an AA half-track coming out, or is it technically an AA half-track? It's such a weird kind of term for it. Yeah, it is AA half-track. Coming on out in favor of the Americans, but I don't even think that's going to be good enough to deal with the current German army. What's more, despite the fact that the Kuppelwagen took some very, very hefty hits, P2 is able to slide on in and puncture the morale, let's call it, of this squad. They're going to continue to be forced back. Now, I am a little bit concerned now for this P2. He's taking a lot of damage. It really all it takes is one more round. This squad might pay for it, though. The temerity is almost too much to even fiercely hit. The main gun destroyed. Okay, that's almost never happened. So Kuppelwagen, the brave Kuppelwagen goes down. But these riflemen are paying the price. These guys have almost no firepower left to their name. And that could be a devastating loss if they picked up that bad boy's bazooka. That's quite an investment there. MG34 is out on the map. He's in the center part of the map, saddling on forwards. My guess he's going to lock down this area here. And indeed, we're actually going to have that M15 saddling on up as well. So the question is, will we see a Faust coming on out? No, we're not. Indeed, we're just going to see this poor defensive position getting blown to shreds. MG34 is not going to be able to do a whole lot against this. Again, guys, that is a dual 50 cal with some sort of, oh my gosh, what's that, 30 mil cannon in the back? I can never remember. 37. 37 mil.
Supply line just got cut off.
At long last, we do see the Americans bringing in an ambo, a 10-minute ambo, extremely, extremely belated.
We're losing a capture point.
And these riflemen actually have to watch out right now because these got next to none in terms of AT capability. In fact, they have no AT capability. They have no star veterancy, so they cannot do anything but just kind of spit at the tank and pray it does something. You know, over here on the western side, Lieutenant runs afoul of these Volksgrenadiers, kills a fair number of them, but are we going to see any dead models within that heat? I can't tell. The smoke is too thick. Middle of the field, weapon crew dives on out. 50 cal squad is sitting over there. And it looks like we finally might see the beginnings of the Americans, you know, bleeding something away from the Germans. And that is just a surprise to me. Because really Burmie's just been dominating so far as this game has moved forward further and further. Now the question I suppose is, if I'm over here as the Americans, do I go for the captain now? Or just skip that and go for the major? And let's actually not focus on that right now. So Rakettenwerfer is on the field. That bad boy is going to do another good rocket, I think. No, never mind. He's going to get away. I'm saying to the back of that AA half-track, but no. No. And a very strange triad of troops moving forwards does pressure back the Americans well enough that they are really actually kind of sent packing in disarray.
Capture point is being overrun.
Meantime, these riflemen think, hey, this is a good idea. Let's run close to Volksgrenadiers armed with STGs, and they pay the obvious iron price. Looking at the way the map is right now, I'm trying to think, I think Brosras at this point really should be holding out hope. Just going to that major. Now, of course, even once he gets there, he's going to wait a fair bit of time before he can bring in anything worthwhile. But BARs in the field, well, that might be a little bit more hunky-dory for him then. That'll definitely even and indeed probably exceed what the Germans can handle in terms of that infantry battle. Unfortunately for him, Burmie is almost pretty close to getting his last tech structure, and that is a very hard gap to bridge. And Riflemen are just going to get torn to shreds. P2, he's got 1-star veterancy, so not a ton of kills per se. But he's going to be able to keep this rifleman at a arm's length, or a Zuka's length, if you want to think more practically.
The capture point is being overrun.
And they're going to come out into the open. Oh my gosh, they're coming out into the open. Not a good idea. Meantime, Rakettenwerfer not quite able to get a line on that M15. And that is super lucky right there. Over the eastern side, incendiary grenade goes on out, and it's not going to do diddly squat as these Volksgrenadiers outnumbered, but apparently never outfought. Oh, okay, are supported by this MT-34 to the east, and are going to be able to pressure back 2 squads of riflemen. Germans have a 2-0 cap advantage as we speak. And here we go, so great opportunity to pick off some more models. That's one more, that's a free Zook on the ground, not going to go to that Volksgrenadier squad, but it could go to somebody else. In the meantime, though, we are going to see this MG-34 going to get pressured on back, and I think we're going to see a Faust coming up pretty quick. No Faust? No Faustian deals here? No. So an incendiary grenade goes on out, pressures back this rifle pretty darn quickly. I also think getting shaken bacon like nuts. And with that, Burmese Volksgrenadiers are probably going to go down, considering that they are going to walk back through a fairly hefty bit of enemy firepower. Another 50 cal gets brought on in. That's an interesting decision. And the Shrapnel headquarters goes down right by this fuel point, going to lock down a good section of this area. Worth noting, this mine has gone off. Forgive me for not knowing whether or not that actually had a legitimate target, or if that was just bad luck. P2 in the meantime, hustling back to base. He's back here. Might be a good idea, actually, for Burmie to invest into another squad of Strom Pioneers. Those guys are stupidly expensive, but still, usually worth the price. I say stupidly expensive, I just mean in terms of raw population power. Close grenadiers in the meantime. I'm going to put the hurt down on the lieutenant by a little bit. So that's pretty nice. And this Verkettenwerfer is going to make this half-track regret he was ever born if he's not careful. Yeah, but he's careful, so he's going to back up. Good decision there. Americans have been able to take back a good portion of that map. Although as we're looking forward right now, again, what can he be looking for out of his commander? I'm thinking if you go really into a major, and the fact that he's not, I think, is more than a minor mistake. But, word puns. P2 saddling on in. These guys going and trying to get that snare down with a Faust. They're going to get suppressed, and indeed that's where they are right now. The BAR in the area is almost as bad, but the P2 is similarly sending the 50 cals to flight. Although, geez, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, you have one kind of advantage coming in one way and then one in the other. Rear armor hit out, and poof, there he goes. So I think that was a captured Zook, was it not? No, it was a Faust. So there goes the AA half-track, which cuts the American fighting power down by quite a significant margin. These guys are pinned as well, so these riflemen getting carved to pieces. Brosras seems completely without recourse, although he does have two VPs at the time, so that's kind of nice. Unfortunately for him, he's still down almost 200 tickets. And now these guys are sneaking on forward, going to quickly pick up a good hefty bit of fuel and the like. So there we go, more free fuel. Now if I'm the Germans, who would I go for in terms of commander? Now if it's me, I'd probably go Scavenge Doctrine. Or, I mean, people complain about Elite Armored. That might even be actually a better call, if for no other reason than to get that Sturmtiger out in the field. Now people I know will complain about the Death Star being here, but, you know, it's a legitimate strategy, I would say. Unfortunately for the Germans, their attempts to pick up the American fuel do not go particularly well, but then Incendiary Grenade will do a fairly good chunk of damage. But I just want to watch the health bars in both of those bleeding rather significantly. And now it's a machine gun off over here, folks. So the MG34 is better at suppressing, but this guy does more raw damage. Now, at long last, we see a major coming on in. So here's the question. Are we going to see the Sherman come in and blow this guy to shreds before the Germans gain enough AT to make that a non-issue? As of right now, considering the current status, I would probably say it's a non-issue. But we also know where my, you know, not so much loyalties lie, but where my preferences seem to go more often than not. 22 kills on that guy. I think he's the killiest dude on the map. 12 kills there. 4, 5, 7, 4. Worth noting,
A capture point is being overrun.
the overall veterancy. It looks like the Americans have a slight edge in terms of absolute veterancy, but the Germans are getting further and further along with all of their troops, and this guy's going to have a great fire field into this 50 cal, but apparently he can't see.
We're losing a capture.
And there is that first Sherman, but there are two Verkettens out on the map, and with that, in addition to all of the infantry-based, like, soft AT that's out there, it is not going to be easy for that Sherman to put a lot of real change out here. We're getting for push down back. That's good. He needs to heal up anyway. And the Germans will have themselves at least a 2-to-1 pretty darn quickly. In fact, I'll have a triple cap for a few seconds. BARs will do some damage over here and might even pick off a model or two. Not quite enough. That's a bit of a shame. So, yep, that's going to be your triple cap for a couple of seconds.
A capture point is under attack.
But they are sacrificing an awful lot to take everything else. 19 minutes in, where are we? Below 20 minutes, and yep, the Germans also have almost have that 200 ticket advantage. And that first Sherman is out though, so the question is again, can the Sherman cause a collapse in the German position? That's kind of a hard one to call. I really do think that two Verkettens deployed even half decently, they're going to shred the Sherman with almost, you know, as an afterthought. But P2 does go down, so Burmie not paying attention there. So that answers, that question's been answered. And instead, yep, there's a P4. So, may not set to see the elite armored doctrine too quickly. But what might be happening now is Burmie might just be working towards himself with a KT. So a little bit outside of where he needed to be for that. And I say a little bit, I mean a lot of it. Rifles, in the meantime, are going to find themselves getting suppressed and pinned. And this 50 cal is going to try to find a defensive position to fall back on and set up. And there we go. He's going to be able to get at least one burst and one of these guys suppressed pretty quickly. But these other Germans could be able to swing around and do some good damage. No, we're going to have the second 50 cal in the area. So can he get one burst of fire off? No, he can't. And indeed, there we go. Flamme grenade comes out, and you can see right there that's the perils of remaining in that for too long. 50 cal resights, suppression galore.
Armor ready. A capture point is under attack.
And the OPHE rounds are back in business.
Grenades now available for action.
Grenade package has been called in. That's usually not, I won't say uncommon, but it's unusual-ish. The Kattenwerfer are going to get some good shots into the side of that Sherman, probably give him something to think about, force him to back away for a couple of seconds. But now that P4 is out, and this P4 by himself should be able to deflect, if nothing else, probably even chase down and destroy that Sherman, especially again with the support of the German infantry that currently exist on the map. Germans do have a 200 ticket advantage for the moment, 209, it's actually 210, excuse me. Math is not my strong suit. For the time being, but that's going to fade a little bit quickly here. Major continuing to call in his observation plane. That is 50 munitions he will never get back. And there we go. I heard that the airplane fire, and the flak rather, and that was pretty darn worth it.
We're losing a capture point.
But 22 minutes in, 443 to 240. And the infantry fight is largely equal. I mean, in terms of raw power, you have to kind of give a BAR rifleman a good edge. But considering how Burmie just continues to deploy and redeploy his troops, I don't think he's lost anything besides his vehicles yet. That's 50 cal's going to shred these dudes to pieces. They got to watch out there. But other than that, good lord. But here comes Jan P4 to tell him to not beat up on his little brothers. And that's kind of nice, isn't it? But that P4 is going to do pretty darn well until the Sherman comes to play. And with a Zook support, will that be Germans are run away while the tank is at play, or will it be the Americans? And it seems to be the Americans are going to be forced back. The Kettenwerfer rushing through the attack might be able to get one or two shots off. No, he's going to come under fire instead. He's not going to be able to get himself set up in time, I don't think. In fact, he's getting hammered pretty badly. It's time to retreat, good sir. He's going to decrude. Decrude. There we go. But this big push of the Germans, he is diddling up the middle. And luckily enough for the Germans, those riflemen cannot take a position. There's only one dude left.
A capture point is under attack.
And with that, a good chunk of the American army is forced back. Folks going to do charging in over here, trying to pick up this Kettenwerfer. Will be able to do so and get at least one or two good shots as that Sherman retreats. Quick, run away! Okay, there we go. So Volks is backing off, should be able to get out alive. And actually, the Kettenwerfer is just going to back away, so interesting call there. LMG-42 on the Obersoldaten, and a 50 cal goes down for the Americans. Yikes! And now, remind me, somebody's got to have that, folks, that Zook, or has that gone another direction? Perhaps it's gone another direction. But the Germans have their 2-to-1 cap, and they're up again. They're over 200 tickets. Interestingly, we are going to see ourselves having a howitzer carriage coming on in. So, yeah, the infantry can't be massed up anymore. And Burmie goes for, interestingly enough, fortification doctrine. So I don't know if he's trying to just put it maybe an LEFH, just start barraging, or use the Pac 43. I don't know, but considering the way that his enemy has got himself definitely a lot further forward than you might think, I am almost hoping that we are going to see a howitzer play on this map.
M8A1 is on the field.
Of course, his feelings might change as soon as he sees the M8 doing its own bit of damage. See another bit of death. Nope, never mind. Okay, so he gets out alive. But big mass of infantry comes to the center part of the map, and we have here, well, we have ourselves one machine gun and one Rakettenwerfer. But it seems the Americans are too canny for this. They're going to drop down some smoke and protect themselves. And huzzah! LEFH going down right behind the Schwerpanzer headquarters, so that'll be fantastic. Sherman transitioning over here, but for some reason we're not going to see a Faust or any kind of play there. Quick Faust comes out, not going to do enough damage. Might even die for his bravery. Smoke generators going out instead. And alright, so the MG-34 is going to get shredded by a massed weapons fire from the Americans. But this punk's going to get in the fight soon. That's going to be fantastic. And there is that howitzer carriage getting in the fight, throwing down rounds downrange, trying to find that Rakettenwerfer, but not going to be able to do so. And adding in the firepower from that Schwerpanzer headquarters, the Americans cannot get close enough to really push back the Germans. Any second now, come on. I'm dying to see this. There we go. So the first round could come on out in the middle part of the map, and that'd be kind of fantastic. But I don't think he's going to put it in the right area. However, this infantry over here is going to wobble pretty good. I keep waiting. Come on, where's that first barrage coming in? Rifle, in the meantime, start to get cut to pieces by this Panzer. This guy just continues to do great work, 13 kills, and with the help now of that Schwerpanzer headquarters, these riflemen are going to get pinned down and barraged. And where is the first round going to fall? If he knows about this, that'd be fantastic. Oh my god, he knows. Oh my gosh, here it comes. It's gonna be a money shot soon. Okay, that was not quite as money shot as I was hoping. But still fairly fantastic. Geez, that was a I have no idea how he knew about that. Is that which is he saw the amount of troops coming back in quickly, and we just did see a squad go down for the Germans. One of the MGs getting picked off. I think that's fine though. Burmie's just waiting to get himself an opportunity to pick up the KT. So it's unfortunate that he lost it, but all things considered, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. What's more, can you pick off this guy? Yep, that goes down. So he's going to destroy it, or is he going to try to pick it back up? My hope would be is that he's going to destroy it, but doesn't look like he's too intent on it. Germans, in the meantime, are going to find themselves cut off by this howitzer carriage, as well as the MG-34 going to get carved up pretty darn good. 406 to 200, and the Germans are continuing to be on the march. We're going to see a couple of machine gun crews shifting on forwards, as well as an M10. M8. Jackson, M8? M36. Wow, M36, jeez. Not sure I was thinking M8. M8 is the howitzer carriage. Yes. M8A1. Another P4 getting called on in, and that's a little bit surprising to me. I guess Burmie is just going to try to wait for the end game. And where's this guy, dude firing again? So a great shot lands on top of that Sherman, and that's fantastic. Now, only could have gotten better had they hit him twice and almost nearly knocked him on out. But hey, that's what happens when you hit him with a 105 shell. Allies, in the meantime, we might see a dead squad coming through. Money. So free Zook on the ground.
Tank destroyer is ready for action.
The question is, maybe the Obersoldaten will rush on over and pick that up. That would be a good idea. It's just a question of whether or not they will do it. But 396 to 200, the Americans are rapidly running out of options to fight back. In part because they're not really picking any commander either. Now, again, tactical support or heavy cav would have been my decision, either one of these. It looks like the lieutenant is going to go down pretty darn quickly. There he goes. That's one round. One more officer going down.
They got wiped out.
And the Germans take a delicious lead in terms of raw army supply. Jackson announces his presence, and probably shouldn't, considering how much AT's in the area. P4s are still up and running, both of them, barely taking, oh wow, taking some good damage there. But this could be perfect time again. Faust City. Rear armor hit, that does hurt, but there goes a damaged engine, and that will give enough time, I would say, for this other Panzer to sidle on over. No, instead, he's going after this Jackson, who slams around into the side of the damaged Panzer. And yep, so these Obersoldaten have themselves a Zook. But shockingly enough, it seems that the Allies are doing decently well here. Even, in fact, taking themselves a trip cap pretty soon. In fact, yep, here comes that trip cap. 380 to 200. To me, this shouldn't be happening. I kind of feel like Burmie should be running this show and then some. He's got to reinforce, get more Sturm Pioneers out. And repair. Full veterancy coming out here and there. Incendiary grenade coming on out. Some good damage being done. Might see the squad go down on retreat.
Our supply lines have been cut.
And at long last, there's a tactical support company. Germans do manage to decap the central position, though, and we'll do it again later on. And we're going to see a dead recon plane pretty darn soon. Nope, not quite yet. Alright. Oh, no, excuse me. Going instead for the whole P-47 run, excuse me. And, okay, there we go. And that was a dead recon run, I dare say. For Captain Burford's squad, gun crew does get picked off, and unfortunately I didn't see what that was. Too intent was I on seeing the death knell of that other little punk.
Forward elements report an infantry unit lost.
And yes, there goes the other Raketen crew, but no, the first one gets recrewed instead. Now, I hope these guys aren't going to rush on in and retake this position. That'd be a waste of so much munitions. However, what we could see here is we could see ourselves a dead 50 cal squad, and yep, there we go.
Just got wiped out.
Some good bit of damage being done, but that M36 slams around to the side of the P4. And with the support of all this other infantry-based AT, Burmie has actually dropped quite a number of his infantry squads. I continue to say that all he has to do, though, is just start driving home his advantage, which includes, you know, maybe sacrificing a tank to pick up something else.
Spun up and ready for reconnaissance flight.
Only 3 kills in this punk, though, so if you can find this area here, that might be perfect for him. Might be.
Ready to move!
Now, kind of fun, you don't often see the rapid barrage, but also even be more fun to see the fake rapid barrage. Alas, I don't think it's going to happen. No, and somehow he does it again. That's incredible. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. And there is another recon run. And the question is whether or not he's going to dally into... Yep, he is. That was fast. Wow, 1 shot, 1 kill. That's the luckiest flak gun ever. An unlucky rifleman. Dear God. These poor guys. Now this Jackson should be dead. Both P4s, in my mind, should be rushing after this thing like it was Christmas. But no, instead we're going to see another Zook going down on the ground, and while those Germans are not going to be able to pick it up too simply, I get the feeling that Burmie really should be pressuring a lot more than he is. Another Jackson is out in the field as well, though, so these P4s are going to really be... It's going to be really crazy. I mean, first of all, the HVAP rounds, insane. And the Sherman's going to impale himself delicately on the crosshairs of both the P4s and somehow not get hit by anything. So, the luckiest man alive there. And unfortunately for the Captain Burford, not quite as simple for him moving forwards. So decline here a little bit more. P4s are definitely outgunned. Jagdpanzer, an interesting decision coming out from Burmie. And really, considering the state of his infantry right now, I guess I understand why. However, what I do not understand is I do not understand why these guys are rushing on in. There we go. Yep, back away. Good sir, back away. Once again, though, build more Sturm Pioneers. I'm going to be having this discussion. Another barrage going on out, trying to find that ammo, not to be able to do so. Remind me again. Okay, so 300 for zeroing artillery. Problem with that is he doesn't see any of his opponents. But that Jagdpanzer coming on out, well, that'll be pretty darn nifty.
Jagdpanzer, ready for
317 to 196. 35 minutes in, and it's one of those things where I feel like it really could still go either way, which is shocking. And that P-47 going on down doesn't quite take out the M8. In fact, it only barely skims to the side of it. But they are trying desperately to take out that Schwerpanzer headquarters, correctly assuming that if they can take out the German armor, they can pound on the German infantry. And indeed, probably even get after that LEFH in the back.
Prepare for action. We now stand at 300 points.
I'm getting the feeling, though, we're going to have some crazy massive engagement, and that's just going to decide the fate of all Middle Earth. Question is what the Germans are going to do to get there. And 2 MG-34s firing impotently at a house with 1 squad of riflemen. If that's not a wet noodle contest, I barely know what is. And 50 cal gets picked off, though, and Burmie continues to close the gap in terms of infantry losses. That's kind of interesting there. The Jagdpanzer trooping on in, trying to put some pressure out on the Sherman, decides better against it, and backs away. 283, 196, 281, 196. The Germans have no control over most of these points. Although right now, we're probably going to see ourselves a dead rifleman squad, and that's going to be hard to replace. Especially at this point, he doesn't have anywhere near the amount of infantry he needs to have. He does take out the MG, so that's a bit of happiness right there. But then he loses the squad in turn.
We just lost a unit.
So, a mixed bag, really. Alright, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the actual engagement here. So 1P4 does go down, destroyed engine right there. The question is, are we going to see in a successful defense to take out this Sherman, to take out any of these Jacksons, anything like that? Rear armor hit right there. Zeroing artillery, that'll be nifty to force him back a little bit. 1 Jackson goes down. Sherman is going to take the Jagdpanzer in the flank, it looks like. And out of control he goes. Rear armor hits on this other Jackson, and not going to be too easy for him to get out alive either. Main gun destroyed, so he's pretty much toast. There he goes. How about that Sherman now? Folks, how about the Sherman? Anyone want to take him out? No. Instead, he's going to be kind of sitting outside of his area here, and both these guys have been recovered. And with that, Brosras drops to a minute fraction of what his opponent has. However, once more, one more shot is all it will take. And somehow that Sherman limps away. No, he's not going to. One more shot in either direction. So who gets the first shot is the question. And a Calliope. That's not kind of interesting. M8, though, is on out. Destroyed engine. That could be recaptured for the Germans. And there goes the Sherman. So now we have a Calliope, a Major, and an ambulance. It kind of sounds like the beginning to a bad joke. That's a 5-star Panzer, too. Jeez. Not often you see this bad boy. Pretty darn good. 46 kills. He deserves every single bit of his veterancy. 31 kills there, 4 kills there. So not the same kind of sterling opportunity. Dropping around a little bit shy. Oh well. And now we can successfully just look at that bad boy. He makes recon runs all over the place. He's still up for the time being, but that's not going to be too long. Sherman Calliope trooping on in, and now these guys still do have themselves
Has arrived.
a Zook, which is worth noting here. What we are going to see, though, is a rocket barrage, and I think he's looking to find home base. And he will, and he'll do some great damage. But it's not going to last him very long. 4 kills. And those would be some of the last kills he gets on this entire map. Poor guy. More rifles being made, though, and the Germans do have a continued drain, though, back on the Allies. 232 to 195, approaching 40 minutes. Brosras, I think, is completely tapped, though. He's got nothing in the way of forces. He's got really nothing in the way of infantry. All vanilla guys. And even if he takes out some of these troops, well, it's not too much of a sad sack there. Main gun destroyed. It appears he blows off some of the rocket tubes as well. Half-track transport. Oh, yes. Now we know the Americans are definitely in business. But the beastly P4 is back up and running, and this other P4 is slowly getting remade and reforged in the fires that had once consumed him. And with that P4 pretty much doing what he needs to do, yep, Brosras is going to tap it on out. He is down 50-some-odd tickets. Ending score 231 to 188. Burmie takes up Brosras in a 40-minute game that did go back and forth quite a darn bit. But well done to Burmie. Bad luck to Brosras. What have been probably a better opportunity for Brosras is to shift into that either later game tank production immediately, as opposed to waiting a little bit longer than he kind of did, or frankly to me, just stalling out for that Pershing, because the Pershing might have been enough by himself, and I kind of feel like he threw away his Jackson advantage as the game progressed. Regardless, folks, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys all soon. You all have a great day. Take it easy.